The cashier on opening night. In the last episode, I've told you about an opening night I lived through as a general manager. The one where some orders 4 years later still haven't been delivered. Let me zoom in on one part of that night. The cashier. Fighting the system in every single transaction. Hear what was actually happening. The POS has been tested days before opening, not weeks, days, and it couldn't do the basic. It couldn't even move an item from one table to another. We flagged it to the IT company. They were working on it, but modifications take time and the opening have been rushed forward. So we went live with a system that could then do what any waiter need by lunchtime on day one. The cashier was not the problem, the timeline was. And the decisions to choose, install and test a system in the final days before opening, that decisions was made months earlier by nobody, which is exactly how these decisions usually get made. Today, how to choose your hotel system, your PMS, your POS, all of it, so that opening night is the most boring night your software ever has. Why system comes before people. This is the first episode of Module 2, and the module has a name that's also an instruction: systems before people. Remember the timeline from episode 2. BMS implementation start at week 8 before a single department head walks in at week 5. That's deliberate. Done properly, a BMS take 4 to 6 weeks to configure room types, rate codes, guest segment, the accounting interface. Start at week 8 and your system are left and stable when training begins. Start at week 2 and your staff trains on a system that's still being built, or worse. They meet it for the first time when the guest standing in front of them. The PMS is the nervous system of your hotel. Reservations, rates, room status, billing, reporting, everything flows through it. Choose it well and it disappeared into the background. Choose it badly and you will feel it every single day in every department for years. So let's talk actually about how hotel get this wrong. The Ferrari nobody could drive. A friend of mine work at Italian restaurant. I won't say where. They have a fully integrated system, the complete package. Thousands of dollars worth of restaurant technology, inventory, costing, analytic, everything connected. One person on the entire operation can use it properly, the GM. Now follow the logic of what that means. For the GM to analyze the data, which the entire point of the system like that, someone has to enter the data and nobody else knows how. So this integrated, expensive, beautiful system does exactly one thing reliably. It comes sales. Thousands of dollars to count sales. A notebook does that. I call this a Ferrari problem. They bought a Ferrari and they're using it to carry vegetables. Not because the car is bad, but because nobody else in the building has ever taught to drive. And here's the part that make it a pattern, not a joke. The people sent to system training are almost never hospitality specialized. The vendor train whoever available that week. That person absorbed maybe a third of it, leaves within a year. Because this industry has a turnover and the knowledge walks out the door with them. The system stays, the capability doesn't. So write this down as a rule. A system is worth what your weakest trained user can do with it, not what the brochure says it can do. When you budget for the system, you budget for the training, not once, continuously. That's not an extra cost. This is the actual cost. The 3 criteria that actually matters. When I evaluate a system for a hotel, I look at 3 things before anything else. None of them on the vendor feature list. 1. Pricing flexibility. Can the system handle the rate structure you will actually need? Let me tell you why I lead with this. I worked with a hotel. They wanted to do something completely basic. One rate weekdays, a different rate for weekends. Two prices. The system, a modest local product, couldn't do it. No, not it was complicated. It was impossible at the software level. The system has one field for one price, and that was the end of a conversation. Now think about what that means. Revenue management, seasonal pricing, corporate rates, packages. The entire commercial strategy of the hotel was capped by a software limitation. Nobody checked before buying. So before anything else, can do multiple rate plans, seasons, day of week pricing, and can you change them without calling the vendor? 2 is operational competence. A PMS is not a reservation book. It has to capture the whole operational clearly. Room status, that actually housekeeping update, transaction posted where they happened, every operational movement, cleaning, maintenance, billing, recording in one place. If the system only sees the front desk, everything else lives on paper. Hold that thought, because the paper where the third criteria comes in. 3. Integration. Does it talk to your accounting system, your POS, your inventory? This one matters so much. It gets its own section, because the gap between systems is not just inconvenience, it's where money disappears. The integration problem, where fraud lives. Here's the part of system selection that's no review video will tell you, because it's not a feature, it's a vulnerability. When your system don't integrate, when the PMS doesn't talk to accounting, when the POS doesn't talk to inventory, the gap between them get filled with paperwork, manual reports, and written counts, spreadsheets someone update from memory at the end of the shift. And paperwork can be easily manipulated. I've seen this repeatedly, and it concentrates in two places: cost and inventory. The stock count that's written down, not system counted. The cost figure that passes through 3 hands before it reaches the owner. Every manual handoff between systems is an opportunity for error if you are lucky, for theft if you are not. Disconnect to something we'll spend the whole episode on later. Internal controls. But the foundation is laid here at system selection. An integrated stack doesn't just save time, it removes the dark space where the manipulation live. When the POS posts directly to inventory, the bartender cannot sell a bottle that never leave the count. When the PMS posts directly to accounting, the night revenue cannot be adjusted on its way to the box. Disconnected systems don't just cost you efficiency, they cost you visibility, and what you cannot see, you cannot protect. So when a vendor tells you their system is great, but the accounting integration is on the roadmap, what they are telling you is that you cost control will run on paper. Price that in. A builder confusion. Let me tell you something from the other side of the table, because for the past while I haven't just been using those systems, I have been building one. Hotel software from scratch for properties like the one I work with. And building it taught me why so much hotel software disappoint. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The program has to understand operation, and in most small software companies nobody does. The developer has never stood at front desk at checkout time, never watched housekeeping and reception fight over whether a room is clean, never seen what a night audit actually closes. So they build what sounds logical in a meeting room, and it collapses against what's real on a lobby. That's why a system can be technically excellent and operationally useless. The code works, the workflow doesn't. And that's also why digital transformation is the hardest challenge for small hotels specifically. The big chains have an IT department that translates between operations and technology. A 30-room independent hotel, there is no no one to do the translation. So they either buy a global system built for hotels 3 times their size, or a local system built by developers who have ever built one, who have ever run one. Both fail differently. The fix: when you are choosing, don't ask the vendor what the system does. Describe your actual day and ask them to walk you through it on the software. A morning room statue conflict, a weekend rate change, a guest dispatching, a charge at checkout. If the vendor cannot navigate your reality, their system cannot either. How to actually choose your selection matrix. So here's the process, and it starts with naming the biggest mistake owners make. They look at price first, the cheapest system that seems to work, or the most expensive one, because expensive must mean good. Both are the same mistake, letting cost lead the decision instead of fit. Instead, use a selection matrix. It works like this. Step 1. Write your scenario before you see any demo. 10 real situations from your operation model. The weekend rate change, the room moved mid-stay, the split bill, the housekeeping status updating from the phone, your hotel's reality on paper. Step 2. Score every system against the 3 criteria: pricing flexibility, operation competence, integration. Weight them for your operation, but integration is not below 30% of the total. Step 3. Make your vendor run your scenario live, not their demo, your scenario. Where they hesitate, slow down. When they say this is coming in the next version, write it down as a no. Step 4. Interrogate the total cost, training included or extra, data migration, support response time, exit costs, what happened to your data if you leave. The question vendor hates are the ones that matter. Step 5. Only now look at price. Between systems that passed everything above, choose on price freely. Price decides between qualified options. It never qualifies them. And one scheduling rule from a man, he learned it a hard way. The system goes live and it gets tested under load weeks before opening, not days. If your system tested and you're opening in the same week, you don't have a test, you have a rehearsal for a disaster. What's coming? Here's the reframe for this one. Every story I've told you today, the POS couldn't move an item between tables, the Ferrari nobody could drive, the system that couldn't hold 2 prices, none of them were software failure, they were selection failure. The software did exactly what it was built to do. The mistake happened earlier. Nobody checked whether what it was built to do matched what the hotel needed done. Your system is not an IT purchase. It's an operational decision wearing an IT costume. Choose it the way you would hire the most important employee, because that's what it is. It works every shift, touches every transaction, and never takes a day off. Hire it carelessly, and like any bad hire, it doesn't just underperform. It's teaching everyone around it to work bad. Next episode, the system your accountant lives in, the chart of accounts, the financial language of your hotel. The ask: before you go, if you are choosing system right now, do one thing this week. Write your 10 scenario before you watch another demo. Real situation from your operating model on paper, then make every vendor drive them. Subscribe so you don't miss episode 6. Building the chart of account that lets you actually read your hotel.